All right, everybody, welcome back to another Ask a Dev Unreal Engine dev stream. My name's Kevin. This may or may not be made public at some point, so in the meantime, I want to say a super shout out and thank you to all Patreon members who are making all this possible and being part of this adventure with feedback, just being part of the conversation, helping push the community, all those things. It's really awesome. Today, we're kind of at a point where we're almost ready for our first playtest, but we're doing all the boring stuff. And by boring stuff, what I mean is I'm getting like surveys set up, I'm cleaning up bugs, and that would just be a really boring stream. So we're skipping ahead for the stream, and I'm going to try to do a little bit of work to set up a visual effects for a slash. Reason being is the plan is characters are going to have a ranged attack and a melee attack. And all the slashes I found in the fab weren't quite what I wanted. So we're going to just try to set up our own. Why not? Let's have fun with it. But before we get going, Rusty is joining us live and was asking some questions about how we're doing art and the theory behind it and stuff like that. So I figured I'd take a quick second. I have one drawing already. You may have seen it in some of the previous scenes. I'm working on the second character. The plan is to do two main key pieces to help solidify the direction of the style, and then to hire somebody who draws way faster than I do to help flush it all out. In fact, I actually just finished paying for the job posting, looking for the artist to do that. I'm waiting for that to be approved before I send it out, and obviously I will send it out to the community as well. But Rusty asked a great question. Can I draw? Do I actually do these drawings myself? And the answer is sometimes, maybe. So, for example, we're going to do this the old-fashioned way. Let me bring up my screen so I can see this, because I'm not going to try to plug this in. But if I sit down and draw, and I have time, and I'm not interrupted, and a lot of time, I can. So I started the year off trying to draw an owl a day. This is an owl for a short film I want to make. It's called The Colonel. And the year started off pretty well. I was just exploring all kinds of different owls. For any of you who remember Secret of the Nim, this is my tribute to the great owl. I've got actually a bunch of those. I was having a lot of fun. I was having a lot of fun with just doing different stuff with him. If I sit down, just to put it in perspective, this is a barn owl. That piece, that took me probably 6 hours, maybe more. I don't have 8 hours to be drawing, but it's fun because as I was drawing these out, I was doing, like all kinds of different owl studies. Mr. Owl, the Great Owl, every owl I could find. And then I started getting into, I started kind of getting bored with the actual owls themselves. And so I started doing owl-inspired characters. And then the interesting thing is this is actually helping me out a little bit, because the second race of characters for the Rend is an Albear. But and then I started just doing more like kind of like cartoony stuff, things where there was something that was a little more interesting going on with the drawing. So the problem is it takes me too long. It just takes me way too long to do these things. So I can get reasonably 2 pieces done, and then once I have those pieces done, I can probably farm out. I actually really like this one. This was a feather study I did, just drawing the wings and the different feathers and stuff. Anyways, point is, I can sort of maybe draw. I just don't have time to do it if we're ever going to get this game done, especially when you watch the artists that I'm surrounded by every day in my professional career at work. They're so fast. They're so much more efficient at it. And maybe one day when I have nothing else to do, I can just sit around and draw and just get better at it. But anyways, that's a quick update on the art. Let's hop into the game a little bit, because we're going to be doing Slash. I know, Rusty, you missed a couple of the last streams, but this is all laid out in stuff. So what we need is what I want to do is I want to set up, like I said, the ability to do a slash. So we're just going to work right here for right now. And we're just going to make it so that if we left click, I think we can do a slash. Now, why a slash? And And why are we doing art when we're not supposed to be doing art? We're doing art when we're not supposed to be doing art because my thinking is that for an attack, if we just do some really cool slashes and in a single attack pose, we will be able to go ahead and we'll basically be able to go ahead and use that as an attack basis. And so we're going to do a little bit of art so we don't have to do a ton of art. In other words, I'm going to try to do a slash so we don't have to do all the animation for all of our attacks, which would take us forever. Now, that means we're going to be working with Niagara, some VFX and stuff like that. So this is Maya. We're just going to set up a new thing. This is going to be the way VFX come together. If you're not familiar with it, it's usually a bunch of smoke and mirrors. VFX is a stunning discipline. It is the kitchen sink of all disciplines. It's Photoshop, it's 3D, it's problem solving, it's technical, it's materials, it's all kinds of crazy stuff. So one of the things that often goes into that is, as part of the basis, is there'll be some 3D shape that you use in order to create the base for the material to show up on, and then it all is how that material is put into the scene and everything like that. So we don't have a shape library yet. So we're gonna make a disk. And I'm gonna have to think about how we're gonna do. Let's call this VFX shape lib disk, and we'll call this just disk. Probably gonna need disk small, disk large, disk whatever, but for now let's just do this disk. All right, save that, and then we're going to create. Let's see here, a disk. It's gonna be no, that is not a good disk. This is not a good disk. The reason this is not a good disk is because if we open this up, it is a disk, but if we open this up for what we want to be able to do, let me show you. You can see how this is laid out in UV space. It's laid out all nicely as if it was an actual model, but that's not really what we want. What we actually want is I'm trying to figure this out for a second. I'm going to create Taurus maybe? That's better. That is better. Okay, so by better, what I mean is the UVs go left to right, top to bottom. So if you were to put a texture on this and it starts here, you can basically slide it by going 0 to 1 to get left to right. But this is not a disk, so let's make this a disk. So over here, let's take and let's just blow away the bottom faces. Okay, and then that's going to be okay. And let's take the rest of this, and flatten it. Okay, it's pretty good. Now we have some bunching in the middle. We'll fix that here in a second. But let's just move this back down so it sits at on the origin properly. I would like this to be perfectly at 0. It's pretty close. Y'all can see my screen, right? Welcome, Unreal Robin.
It's fine with me. Yeah, the screen's.
Oh, dog nabbit. That was a relative change, not world space. That's kind of annoying. All right, let's go back to this and turn on grid snap. Maybe that'll do it. Actually, that's not going to do it. I'll do focus. Okay. So, couple of things we want to do. Let's get this outer border, expand this out so it looks a little more even. Let's take this inner border, same thing, expand this in, make this a little more even. Now, what I really want to look at is the UV layout for this. I want this to be even. And the idea is if we were to put, let's say, a checker on this, let's go edit, delete by type, history, and let's do a, it's been so long since I've worked inside my, y'all. No, that's not what I want. Materials. Let's go with 8. And let's bring up the material editor, rendering editors. We're trying to make our foundation for this solid. So if we take a look at our color and we change this to a checker, what I want to see when I look at this is it reasonably even? So you can see how when we're looking at this, it's the checkers themselves are roughly the same size for the two middle rings, but they're squeezed in the outer and the inner ring. So what we want to do is we want to make this so that that is not the case. Oh, whoa, that didn't extrude. Okay, same thing for this outer rim. That looks a little more even. Reason being is what we're going to do is we're going to be using the UVs to slide our textures out and in, as well as around this shape. And so we want it even in order for that to look like it's working the way we want. So let's try this. Okay, I am not going to noodle this for the purpose of the stream. We'll call that good enough. Okay, now we do need to worry about our sizing. The size of this disc relative to the size of this, whoa, where'd my go? The size of this disc relative to what it looks like in Unreal. Reason being is we don't want all our shape library shapes to be different sizes. We want them all to be the same. So if I take a disc and I combine it with a plane, or I combine it with a swoop at a scale of 1, they all work together. Otherwise, what ends up happening is every single time I go to kitchen sink, cookie cutter, a VFX together, what ends up happening is it's always some weird setting. I gotta remember discs are 1.2, and with the plane, which is 1.07, and all kinds of weird stuff, which we don't want to do. So let's just let's save this, and then let's try exporting this real quick. And this is going to be VFX shape lib disc under our static mesh. So we're gonna add that, and then we're gonna add the selected thing to it. We'll save one more time, and then see if we can export that. Theoretically, that didn't go to where I wanted it to, but maybe it exported. So what we want to do is let's take a look at this in Unreal Engine. All right, we have all of our audio fun that we've been going through. Do I not have a standalone VFX folder? I do not. That's crazy. Okay, I am going to put this for now in a VFX folder. New folder, VFX. And in here, I'm going to make a folder called shapelib. And then in here, let's import the file we just made. And that's this guy right here. And for the imports, we're going to use the source name. We're going to keep all this stuff. It should be a static mesh. Or not. Let's just see what happens when we import this. Okay, cool. It imported it. Let's see how big this thing is. It is tiny. It's tiny. Just to put this in perspective, let's put this, let's see, what's the best way to, let's do this. Let's create a blueprint. Let's just create an actor blueprint. And inside of this actor blueprint for testing purposes, let's drop in a cube. So we're going to add in a cube. This is a 1 meter cube. Okay, and if we add in a static mesh, and we set this to our VFX shape. Oh, we might be able to cheat a little bit too here. See what some other people did. Okay, so if we look at these two next to each other, our can we even see it? It's tiny, super tiny. So in Maya, this thing is what size? Let's do some measuring here. Create measure tools. Distance. Let's go from here. Wrong button. To here. What kind of dumb number is that? Okay, so let's do 10. Ooh. We're gonna do 10. That's 10. Let's make this size 10. Okay. We'll save that. Export it. Re-import. Okay. And then when we look at this, I don't think that's enough either. So let's go, we need to go 1, 2, 3. What a weird number. 4 times the size of this? Let's go times equals 4. So let's try 24. Oh, we'll just go even 25. And let's export that again. And re-import. Okay, that's probably a little better. Now, here's the trick. What's our project scale, y'all? Our project scale may be not set right. We haven't really looked at this stuff yet. So, let's see how big this disk is relative to our hero character. So if we look at our hero character in our viewport, and we add in a static mesh, and it's our VFX disk. Ah, it's actually right about the right size. Okay, that's pretty good. We can work with that as like kind of a baseline. That's cool. All right, so we got a disk. Now, the other thing that I want, we can do it pretty quick, is let's do, you know what's interesting? I think we can use one file. So let's do this. Let's create a, there's one more thing that we want. Let's create a torus again. This should be 20. Oh, we changed the sizing of it. 27, 28. I want these to be roughly the same size. In UV space, they're going to be pretty similar. Top view, top view, top view. Okay, so they're slightly different, but that's okay. We can just scale this down slightly. Okay, and then because this is a torus, we should be able to change our section radius. Oh, bummer. It changes both. Okay, so let's just do this. Now, why am I doing this? I'm doing this because what I actually want is I want a shape that I can use that has volume to it, so that 2D drawings that are passing along that shape volume feel like they have volume, even though they don't. Is probably the easiest way to try to explain it. So this is going to be, we can call this the swoosh. But what we're going to do with this is, let's take this, let's go B. We're going to delete the inner edges. Okay, so our swoosh is just this outer shape. All right, I'm going to take all this stuff, I'm going to edit, I'm going to delete by type history. I'm also going to modify freeze transformations so that they're all 0. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to create a new one called swoosh. I don't know what else to call this. Volume disk swoosh? I don't know. Anyways, so swoosh is going to get this. Okay, and when we export that, we should get a swoosh as well. So now I believe we should have our 2 shapes that we're going to be working with. And then we can go into material world. Okay, here's swoosh. Open. Import. So we have a swoosh. So we have a swoosh, which is cool. And we have our disk. Now, the disk can be the sharp edge. The swoosh can be like the follow through and stuff like that. And if we wanted to just double check, if we were to add in another static mesh here, we can parent it to here. Oh, look, it already pulled in. So this is the key piece. The swoosh and the disk are the same size. That way, when I'm scaling these things in, Niagara, I'm using common language. That's the whole point of this. All right, so let's go check this. Yeah, let's save these. Ooh, I don't have perforce set up on, do I? Let me get perforce up. Okay, so let's take these 2, save them. Changing the name so perforce picks it up. Okay, now I don't want to use this material because I don't want to have an extra material in here that I don't actually need. So let's just use standard, nope, that's just white. Yeah, we'll just use this white. I think that'll work. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, and we'll do the same thing for the swoosh. And we can save this, we can go back, we can delete this, and then we can go, now. All right, we're back. Usual screen lockup, apologies for that. We're gonna get our system back up and running, and we will get into actually building our Niagara system, our Niagara emitter. Where did Maya go? Actually, I don't think we need Maya anymore at this point, and I don't even know if we got a chance to save it when the computer crashed. So, awesome. chat. We got Discord. Let's get our project back open. You know, something I didn't do is I didn't look to see if in any of the effects packs or anything that I had already, if there wasn't a slash that we could at least borrow what we want from. So we're going to take a look at that too when we open this up.
Are you just looking for like the visual effects, or from like not the character but more the environment?
No, just the visual effects, like for like, so you know, in Fab you can buy all the packs, like you can get, and I'm not opposed to using those. You can get projectiles and there's sword slashes and all those kinds of things. However, a lot of those rely on a moving object to build a ribbon trail, basically. And that's not what I wanted. But that doesn't mean there aren't elements in there that we can't steal. So we will take a look at that here in a second. So we have our VFX. Here's our shape lib. Okay, so our shape lib survived, which is cool. Let's call this what are we going to call this? The core. I hate that. DIY. We'll call it DIY. All right. Now in here, let's create a new VFX. FX Niagara emitter, and let's just do a. Where do we want to start, y'all? I'm going to start with not a directional burst, not an explosion. I just want a single emitter. Okay, let's do it like this. Let's do sure, we can start with the fountain. Just create this. It's gonna be a Niagara emitter, and this is going to be slash. Let's just try this. Okay, and in here we're going to change a whole bunch of stuff. So our spawn rate is going to be let's trash that. We're going to do burst instantaneous, I think, and we want 1, and we don't need gravity, and we don't need drag, and we don't need velocity. Okay, and this is not going to be a sprite renderer. This is going to be a mesh renderer. And the mesh that we're going to render is going to be our disk. Okay, ta-da. Okay, so we have a disk. This disk represents our slash. Okay, and what we want to be able to do is we're going to put a material on this disk, and then we're going to animate the material to swoosh around the disk, for example. Now, before we do that, let's take a look to see, just for kicks, if we go all and we go slash. Do we have any slashes in here? Nope. Let's do VFX. VFX circle. I just want to open one of these to see if we can't just look at that as a sample, or as a quicker starting point. Except I cannot get my mouse to hit the edge of this one. There we go. Smoke 2 refraction, that's promising. What is this? Oh, I like that. Okay, how's this work? Texture coordinates with the panner. We could easily take this and turn the panner off. Oh, that's kind of cool. And then we can color it. Let's try to steal this. Where's this live? this lives. This came with our blink and dash. Embers. Let's check this one too. Nope, I like 2 because it's a little bit more whatchamacallit. Let's see if we can do this. Okay, so that's that. If we go here, let's take this, let's duplicate this. We're going to steal this into our VFX and we're going to make a materials folder here. Matte. And then we're going to take this and let's drag this into here. Copy. And then in our materials, this is going to be called VFX swoosh smoke. I'm going to call it swoosh for right now. So I know we have the disk in there, but this is going to hopefully help us fast track the swoosh. So I'm going to take out the panner. And that should stop the effect from moving, which you can see it's no longer moving, which is cool. Okay, now let's see which dynamic material parameters they have in here and what they're affecting. They are affecting rotators on the UVs. I believe that will do what we want. So let's apply that. Save it. And then let's just try something. Let's create a material instance. This is going to be VFX swoosh air, for example. It's just whatever. All right, I'm going to save that. And then inside of our slash, actually we're going to go back to where this was made. We're going to duplicate this. I'm going to call this the swoosh. Swoosh. And in our swoosh, we're going to update this not to use the disk. I'd like to try to get through at least one part of this VFX if we can today. So in here, in our disk, we're going to change our disk to the swoosh, which we've got here. Okay, now, then we're going to take that swoosh and we're going to change our material to be mesh render, enable override material, and we're going to do swoosh, swoosh. Okay, now, there we go. Okay, so the problem is, first off, it's showing up, which is great. All right, step 1. That's great. Now, step 2, let's not scale our color. Actually, you know what? We may keep that. Let's add in our particle parameters, our dynamic material parameters. Okay, rotation speed. Let's try 10. Ooh, 100. Okay, so that's kind of working. The problem is it's rotating. It looks like it's rotating on 2 axes. I want it to go just around. But you can kind of see what's happening, right? So
yeah, now I understand what the whole thing was about.
Yeah. I'm sorry. It's like sometimes it's just like it takes a while to get there. But what's happening is right now we stole this material. So what's happening in this material is at the core, this feeds into emissive and opacity. All right. And then what's happening is these materials all get put on here and we can update this and cheat like this. I was trying to fast track to something to show you. But what's happening is our texture coordinates are rotating on U's and V's at the same time. And what I mean by that is, I think if we disconnect this one, let's see. Does the swoosh... Oh, did it just freeze again?
Nope.
Okay, good. You guys are still here. Okay, this looks like it's going around. So we disconnected the wrong one. So let's try the other one. Apply. Okay, so there's a couple things that we want to do with this. In order to make this feel like a swoosh, it's too thick. So there's a couple things we can do. Let's try it. Let's just try a couple things. So one thing we could do is we could take... Let's see if we understand this properly. So this is our color. That's our particle color. That's cool. This is the alpha for the color, and the opacity mask is a sphere mask. I don't think we need that. I don't know why we need that. And let's just put our swoosh in here. Oh, okay. Let's see here. Mesh render, swoosh. Let's put our swoosh in here so we can see what it looks like on our swoosh as we make these changes. So what I want is, I want to be able to control, I don't want to see these edges, the top and bottom edges, right? Or if I do, I want to be able to control it. So this is color, that's fine. I don't think we need this opacity mask, I'm getting rid of it. If we took, for example, this clamps it back to 0 to 1. We're adding in some extra. We could probably simplify this. Oh, I see. So our emissive color is coming from here, and we're multiplying by alpha. Let's just try skipping this. Okay, that might be a little bit better. Not there. Here. Let's go, let's drop our speed. I feel like that's looking better. Dynamic material parameters. Let's go 5. And you know what? I am going to change our mesh real quick just to be a sphere, just so I can see what's happening in the broader picture. Interesting. That could be a UV thing. Hold on, let's take a look at this. Actually, that might be okay. Okay, hold on a second. So I don't think we need this. We're getting rid of a bunch of this stuff. I'm trying to simplify this just for the sake of not spending all day doing this. Dynamic parameter. This is rotation speed plus an offset multiplied by... I wonder why they did 1.5 here. 1.0. Okay, so we're going to take our texture coordinates, we're going to add to it an offset. Okay, that's what that is. This multiply is not doing anything anymore. This is our rotator. We're adding 1. Oh, we're not adding 1. This is giving us the X value. It's not actually adding 1. This is adding a separate component. So that this is, the first one's the X, the second one's the Y, as an example. We could make this so we could flip it. So for example, if we flipped this, it should go vertical instead of horizontal. if I apply it. Let's see. Texture sample. Doesn't look like it went vertical. It's that horizontal to me. Let's bring back our swoosh. And in here, let me see something. I trust the UVs on our swoosh. Okay, that is not changing what I thought it was changing. I don't think we have the UVs right. So continuing to simplify, we don't need any of this. Okay, and then what is this? Particle relative time, alert, more sphere masks, center of the masks. I feel like that's just complicating this. Interesting. Okay, look at what's happening. On one side, it's coming down, and on the other side, it's going up. This is not traveling in just the U direction right now. So we're still doing something funky. So we're just going to continue to simplify this. If we take our texture sample, let's not do adds or multiplies. Let's take the rotator. We're going to rotate it. Default values, that's fine, that's our speed. In this rotator, center X speed. I wonder if this rotator rotates in more than one axis. Let's just try not using a rotator, let's just try multiplying it by this. We successfully broke it. We are the best. All right, let's simplify this even more. Let's take our texture coordinate multiplied by this value, except we're going to make this even simpler for right now, and we're just going to test this out in material first. Let's get this working in the material first. So let's promote this to a parameter, and this is going to be our spin. Okay, let's apply that. And probably, where's our material instance for this? Here. Turn on spin. Okay. So if we spin this, oh, that's not doing what I thought it was doing. Okay, that is, see what it's doing is it's actually multiplying the UVs. That's not what we want. Okay, so now we can go back and we can fix this. So UVs is fine. We want that to be 1. If we use a rotator and we set this into here, we're not going to do the multiply. Okay, and we apply that. When we take a look at this and we... Okay, that is, it is now spinning. The thing I only want it to spin in U though. So I think we need to mask this. U tiling, V tiling. Let's mask this. Let's take this rotator and mask this. I think it's a mask. Component mask. And let's just take the R. V, and then we're going to append vector. Okay, and the value that I want to append is going to be, let's take this and mask it and take the G value and feed this in, because I just want one axis. I'm trying to get one axis is what I'm doing. There we go. That's better. The interesting thing is, though, we see the seam. If this was going 0 to 1, I wouldn't expect to see the seam.
I was going to mention that because at one point when you fiddled in the material blueprint, you removed something and then the seam started to appear. And
well, I'm wondering if these aren't repeating textures. These don't look like repeating textures. So let's just check something. Do we have a checker in here? Checker. Apply that. Look at that. So either we're not doing what we think we're doing, or just out of curiosity, take out the rotator as a factor. This is going to look really weird when we look at it first. It's interesting how it's, oh, I see what's happening. No, it's working. See, it's stacking in the U direction. That's working. What does our Maya file look like? Maybe our UVs are messed up on our swoosh. Hold on. Let's take a look at our swoosh. Shapelib, swoosh, and then UV channel 0. Well, that doesn't look like what I thought it would look like. Maya. So what we want, basically what we're going to do is once we get this so that this material rolls around this, we're going to take that, spawn it here, and animate the clouds to go around it. Then we're going to be able to erode it at the edges, top to bottom, and squish this. If we add in, just because we're running out of time, if we do a particle spawn scale, let's see here. The spawn, initialize particle, mesh attributes, non-uniform. If we go with Z, 0.2, so now we've got like a much flatter shape. So we can basically vary this shape, and what's going to happen is, as those materials slide around the edges, this will feel like you know, streaks in the air, if you will. Where's Maya? Let's see how much we lost. Bummer, we lost our swoosh. Okay, we're going to cheat this. Let's import that one to documents, Maya, projects, default, FBX, swoosh, import that. I don't know why that is the wrong size. But those UVs look okay. We probably need to go U and V top to bottom because it's going to do weird stuff. 0 to 1. So we're going to have to rebuild our swoosh here for a second. So let's do that. Call that good enough. Then let's take these UVs. Stretch them to go 0 to 1. I am not sure. Let's try something else. UVs. Where's our layout tools? Modify. Normalize. Okay, there we go. 0 to 1. F8. Cool. Now let's try to export this again. And this is going to be swoosh again. Swoosh. We'll add this back in. We'll export it. We'll save this file. And that will give us UVs that at least go 0 to 1 in both directions. So if we take this and we re-import the mesh, it crashes. What the world? We're having a rough dev stream, y'all. Yay, Unreal. Okay. We saved this though, at least.
At least it's only Unreal that crashed, not the whole computer.
Yeah, that's true. So, effectively, hopefully, y'all can see the idea. We're going to basically create the swoosh, the disk. Then we're going to create the trails for the swoosh. And then the edge is going to be the slash. And what I'll do, maybe what I'll do is for this weekend stream, I'll do a little more prep. And we'll get the materials set up and we'll finish setting up the slash. That way I can work on, I think that's what we do. Because it's already 12:30. So let's just see how much we lost though. Just for fun. Let's re-import this mesh and look at the UVs. I don't believe you. Oh, dude, okay. Note to self, do not re-import meshes with the UV editor open. Doesn't like it. Okay, we're not going to play with that anymore. No. We're just going to call it. We're going to call it. Okay, so basically the general idea is we use a bunch of different shapes. We animate a texture around it, and we can do it with color, and we can do it with opacity, and we can do it with edge fades and erosion and all these kind of things. And that's going to create our slash that we want. The reason I'm doing it with the swoop in the disk is because then I'm going to take that disk and I'm going to put it, like imagine if I'm the character and I'm doing a slash in front of me, I'm going to take the disk and I'm going to put it flat around me. And then once I have it flat around me, I'm going to animate the edge to kind of travel around with the slash. That's generally how a lot of these things work. Sometimes they get super fancy and varied and like there's all kinds of erosion and all this other stuff that happens. We're going to keep it super simple. I think we can get a really cool slash without having to do all kinds of crazy sphere masks and crazy stuff. So with that, what we'll do is I will do a little bit more prep work. We'll do that either Friday or Saturday night. And then in the meantime, that will free me up to do work to get the survey going and stuff like that. And then once we have that, we should hopefully be able to get the playtest on. And then I will get the last two dev streams out either tonight or tomorrow, so that you all can kind of go back and catch up on some of the changes I made to disappearing platforms, thanks to some chats that Rusty Naroda and I had, as well as all kinds of stuff, redoing climbs, etc. It's all in those 2 dev streams. So I'll get those up and we'll go from there. I'm gonna wrap up the stream and then I'll come back and we can hang out and chat for a minute before we call it up. So as always, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for keeping me company while we stumble through this, literally stumble through this. It's very cool of you all, and I appreciate everybody being part of this. I hope you all have a great day, and I will catch you on the next one. Take it easy.